Welcome back to the Sleeping Grush podcast. This is Lore Master Matt.
And I am Phelan John.
Hello, Phelan John. It's good to hear your voice. We are still separated by many miles, but we do have our gracious enabler, Jager Madsen, here with us today. So he's in the room with me, and we have a special guest in the room with John. So we'll be introducing him in a minute. Before that, though, just wanted to let you know about Cardboard Corner Cafe, now with two locations, one in Overland Park, Kansas, and one in Lenexa Public Market. There for your gaming needs, your waffle needs, and your drink needs. So if you're in the Kansas City area, make sure to stop by Cardboard Corner, get yourself a great drink, a great meal, and have a fantastic game. John, we have a great show today. We have a special show. But before we get moving on that, we have something that we want to talk about that's come up this last week on Discord. And it has to do with our stat cards. So, John, take that for us, will you?
Yeah, so without adding in all of the painful parts, we do stat cards for all our models to be able to be played in the freeblades game. When the models are released, a set of cards for those models goes into the download section of the website for free as a PDF. Tarot size, print them off, cut them out, flip them over, put them in a sleeve, whatever. And we have them available print on demand from drive-through cards. The last release, we're going to release the models here at Adepticon in a couple weeks. This is March of 24. The last release at the end of last year, the proof cards came back from drive-through cards, and they had an error in them. And the error has proven to be extremely challenging, minor, but extremely challenging. We've had to go through 3 iterations of getting the proofs and trying to finally fix them. The cards are up on drive-through cards now for purchase. And if you're not aware of how it works, when we do a new model, we will update that faction's deck of cards and produce an update pack. Right? So you either need, let's say that you bought, Matt, help me out. Let's think of a model from last Black Friday. Anything?
The Red Lancer.
Red Lancer. Okay, great. Coronin, a faction model. Coronin Red Lancer comes out. Remember, free download cards go up on the download part of the website. Drive-through cards been delayed and now up. So it's a Coronin deck. Now, if you have already purchased the Coronin faction, you have all those cards. We don't want you to buy them again. So there is a single deck of update cards with the last release's date on it. That is all the cards that would have been changed from that release. You don't have to rebuy the whole faction. Okay. Julie does a great job of explaining that on the All Things Phelan channel. It's a recent thread on All Things Phelan on Discord. We are also going to capture that in a little bit better format and put it somewhere on our website so people can find it to answer the question, if I have X and you've just released some cards, what do I buy? Okay, so we're going to help you. The short term, there's a question in your mind of what you need to get in order to have the card the way you want them. Go to the All Things Phelan channel on Discord and check out what Julie's answer in the short term, and then we will put a more formal answer on the website that's persistent that you can always go to remind you what to get if you want to update your card decks.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, John. I chose the Red Lancer because for those of you who are listening and can't see me, I'm repping my Corona shirt today. So we got the twin moons on the rise. So, all right. Well, that is good news. That question came up on Discord last week, or maybe this last weekend. And I thought, man, that's a really good question. If you're not completely up to date and you haven't been following it for a while, it would be very easy to be lost because there's so many models, so many cards. What are we updating? What aren't we? That's a really great solution to that problem, John.
Okay, let's get to our special guest.
All right. Today we have Tim Morris with us. Tim is a player from, where are you from now, Tim?
So I've moved around quite a bit. I used to live in the Kansas City area, but now I live in I live in Connecticut, so the New England area.
Awesome. And So you're a player, but you're also one of our questers, and we'll get to that in a little while. Can you tell us a little bit about your wargaming journey before Freeblades? What got you into wargaming? What did you play? What do you enjoy about war games?
I'm kind of so f- I've been playing board games since I was young, and then kind of in high school I got big into 40K, but due to just both time and money reasons, wasn't able to get super into that, and so that kind of developed an interest into just the tabletop space, but just it wasn't super accessible just due to either time or money. It just wasn't super accessible.
Okay, and what brought you to Freeblades?
So that's kind of an interesting thing. So back probably about 2.5, 3 years ago, I was doing I attended a demo that was being put on, and I absolutely loved the game. I loved the mechanics, and I thought the factions were cool. I picked up myself a Candoran starter set, and then just life happened, and I wasn't able to get into it any further. And then probably about 6 months ago, after I'd moved away from the big community in Kansas City and to Connecticut here, I was cleaning and gone through and found my Candoran starter set. So I went and downloaded the newest rule book and hopped on the Discord, and I've kind of been hooked since. And
That's
I'm going
awesome.
to add a quick thing. When I asked him today about that demo. It was at Redux Society, in
Really?
Staten. Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
said, I said, "Who gave you the demo?" And he said, "A guy named Matt." And I said, "Well, unfortunately, that only narrows it down to 7 people." So
nice. Thank you.
yeah, whichever Matt it was that gave him a demo, he's very grateful. But we don't know which one of us it was. So
Gosh. There are a few too many mats running around here, so I totally understand that. So, Tim, if you could tell us a little bit about what you really enjoy about Freeblades. We'll talk about your favorite faction and your favorite model here in a couple of minutes, but like, what is it that you really like about Freeblades? What draws you to it, and what keeps you with Freeblades?
There's a lot of things I really like about Free Blades. I love the variation in using the tiered different dice. I love that you're not just rolling one single type of dice. Or I really like that, just that kind of widespread. I love the exploding dice because that can turn things from just a very bad situation into just a win.
which he did to me today, by the way. I just think it's relevant. I was rolling the spikes early, but his Jackal Priest just took over the magic phase and made me look silly. So, yeah, I can testify that he can pull the spike when he needs it. No question.
Yeah,
Just
go ahead, Tim.
sorry, the spikes are really cool because that can really make any roll you make the potential to not only succeed but to mass successfully succeed in critical, which could be just game changing and really make it feel like even if you're losing, you still have a chance.
Right,
Also,
right.
kind of things I like about the game are I like the lower model count. I like that it's cheaper to get into the game. It's not a large time commitment. It checks all the boxes for me, and then just I love that it's its own unique fantasy world that's really well developed 15 plus factions, and there's just a whole lot of depth to the game. The more I find I'm digging into just the game and the world itself, the more there is for me to explore.
Awesome. Awesome. We like to hear that, obviously, since we try really hard to do that. So we've mentioned Candor a couple of times. Is that your favorite faction?
Yeah, that would be my favorite faction. I'm a big
Awesome.
undead kind
So
of guy.
what about Candor is it that you enjoy? Is it the gameplay? Is it the aesthetic? Is it the lore?
I think it's a bit of a combination of the aesthetic and the lore, and then it's cool to have kind of like undead kind of models, and just I like the whole Egyptian kind of thing they've got going towards them, and I I just really like them. They're neat.
He did canvas me today for some new undead models, so I've got a list of Tim requirements for our next model council, production council.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Did you tell them about the one we discussed a while back with jackals?
Yeah, we talked about that, and also an undead flyer came into that conversation.
Oop, that's exciting.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah.
Interesting. I'm very much looking forward to hearing or seeing that list when we get a chance. So very good. All right. And what's your favorite model, Tim?
My favorite model would probably be. I don't know. I can't say that I have a favorite model. was thinking about it, but I don't have one myself yet. But I really like the look of the Moon Talon, and that's I'm hoping
Yeah,
to get one myself. That's a really cool model.
that's some hotness. It's funny that when we talk about everybody's favorite model, which I think the last time we did was maybe at Gen Con last year or a couple of years ago, maybe I forget what it was, but it's difficult to pick from all these what we obviously think are gorgeous models. Pick a favorite, or for that matter, our least favorite, which is kind of even more difficult. But things that
What
keep
Matt's
poking hard enough, you know.
what Matt's referring to is a couple of years ago at Gen Con, we're all sitting around the Airbnb, we're doing a podcast, the old Tarch podcast, the one before it.
The old Arch podcast.
Yeah, and Dan Rains was leading it, and we had some questions. We had the whole crew, not just the members of the company, but the volunteers that come with us. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, he goes, "Okay." He points at one person, goes, "Favorite model, least favorite model, go." You know, and so we all had to fess up to our favorite model, least favorite model. And I actually learned more about least favorite going around the room. Kind of mentally took notes on what people didn't like because we want to not do that. I mean,
Right.
if it's purely style, if like one person loves it, another person likes it, it's just the way it is. But the ones that kind of came up more than once, okay, you know, and one,
Yeah, that's the ones you listen to. Yeah.
yeah, it could be look, it could be difficulty of assembly, it could be gameplay, it could be a number of reasons why a person doesn't like a model. I think Dan was looking for look, but he got a lot of varied answers because you know the Gen Con crew plus alcohol gives you lots of answers.
There was a little scotch that flowed before then, so but I remember everybody freezing. Yeah, Jager's over here with his fingers just this much. But I remember everybody, like, freezing like a deer in the headlights, like, "Oh, favorite model, wow."
Oh, I've got to answer on the
Hmm,
mic is hot. I've got to answer it. So,
yeah,
you have
that
a
was
least,
that was a fun
you have a,
night.
Tim, do you have a least favorite model?
I do, yes.
All right, here we go. See,
The caster from the Eclipse starter set, she has cut. I have had immense trouble with assembly with her, and just because her assembly has been so much trouble for me, I don't like her. And so I don't in uh right now when I'm doing any kind of demo games, I normally can't use her, and I have to use a proxy model for her because she keeps falling apart, and I can't get her to stay together.
oh, okay. See, that's the
Interesting
kind of
answer.
feedback we were getting. Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
answer. And one of the things he and I were talking about earlier is so as I was getting my butt kicked, we were talking about difficulty of assembly and the tradition of some of us older gamers growing up with metal models, and it was okay that they were metal because that's what we knew and we knew how to build them and we had the patience
Right.
for it or whatever. It was just it's who we were, and it's less so now. And so one of the things we're doing is we're transitioning to plastic is to do our best to um, reduce number of pieces, reduce assembly difficulty, improve connection points. And she needs to go on the list to get looked at. So
Yeah, that's really interesting, and just for those who really resonate with Tim's answer, because I know a lot of you do, uh, you're in for a real treat with the Azura release. I'll just put it that way, and some of the stuff that's coming up that we're able to
oh,
do
let's please let's
pieces.
spill that. Let's spill those beans.
You want to spill those
Right? This
beans?
comes out a week. It comes out a week from now, right? What is it?
I'm
Today?
gonna
Is
I'm
fifth,
gonna
right?
I'm taking my cup of beans right now, and I'm just dumping it on the table. Let's spill
Good,
those beans.
good.
All right, so we're really pleased to announce, in fact, we're just thrilled to no end that the starter boxes that we are bringing to Adepticon of the Azura are single piece models, every single last one of them. They are single piece models. There will be no assembly except for putting the model onto the stand and onto the base, and that's it. And my gosh, we've been kind of chasing that dog for a while. We've been trying to get as few pieces as possible, but you still have to stay dynamic. And up until just a little while back with some new technology, we weren't able to do that all the time. And now we're going to be able to do it more and still stay dynamic. Because if any of those of you who have been following the renders that we've been releasing, the Azura renders, you know just how dynamic those poses are and just how fluid and full of motion those renders are. And those models are going to be gorgeous, and they're still in one piece.
Yeah, they're better looking and more detailed and better posed than a number of models that are in like 5 or 6 pieces. It's just we've just learned so much and the technology is advanced that we'll be able to do that more and more. And apparently, we have to do it with the Eclipse Sun Eater now. So there you go.
Well, I mean, there is going to come a time pretty quickly when we're going to be converting that model over to plastic, and those opportunities are going to present themselves. One other thing that we're releasing at Adepticon in one piece is the War Spider. And I know any of you that have put that together have probably been waiting for this moment for a long time. I was a co-sponsor of that model back in the day, and I have been waiting for that moment for a long time. And we're very happy to be able to bring you a one-piece War Spider at Adepticon as well. That's going to be the highlight, one of the highlights of my event, obviously, is seeing that in one piece. So I get to see one tonight because our studio painter Aaron Newell is going to bring one by for us. So
Oh, that's right. Oh,
I get to hold all the models tonight, John.
yeah. Here we are in a rainy farmhouse in the Maine woods. 1,555 miles from the nearest painted war spider. Damn it!
Now listen, I will take a rainy farmhouse in the Maine woods just about any day of the week.
It's not the worst. Yeah. No, I just had a really good fish sandwich. So yeah. All right, let's
Nice.
get back to Tim. That was good. Let's get back to Tim.
All right, Tim. Now you're not just a player, but you're also a quester, and you've also joined the World of Phalon um, Patreon. And I got a couple questions for you about both of those. Um, you've joined the Patreon as a world builder, am I correct?
Change seeker. If there was a world builder
Which
slot when I signed up, I would have taken it.
That's right. That's right. So, tell us about your decision to join the World of Phalon Patreon, and what drove you to it, and what you're looking forward to about becoming a world builder.
Um, it wasn't anything that specifically drove me to kind of go to the Patreon. It was more that I really like kind of everything kind of DGS Games does, and I like kind of the Phalon itself, and so I wanted to kind of support more, and so uh, I wanted to go support more, so I went to the Patreon. It was kind of later that I was like, oh, there's all these cool extra benefits from going to their Patreon, and it was more just I wanted to support DGS Games and World of Valorant itself, but then it was afterwards, it's, oh, there's all these cool perks that you can get from being the Patreon subscriber.
Awesome. Well, and Tim, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. We talk a lot about the different things that you get when you join the Patreon, and about all of the benefits. But I really appreciate as well that you were looking to support the company and to further the work, and that's where you want to do that. So I guess there's multiple motivations that you could have for doing that. And what are you looking forward to about joining the World Builder? You said if there was a World Builder position open, and we do those every so often because there's a lot of work involved with them, and I'm already probably neck deep in that, more than I want to admit. But what are you looking forward to about getting that extra level?
So as I've been, it's been a slow process, but as I'm digging into the kind of the world and the world, it's just I really like the world, and I want to be part of kind of that kind of decision making and kind of help influencing the world of Pavon. I like that kind of creative process.
He's
Awesome.
also Matt indicated an interest in writing for it. So when we once we conclude the podcast, I'm going to pass along the writer's guide to Tim.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was
Yeah.
going to say that's exactly what we need to do. All right, so you kind of I wanted to approach this last because this is a topic that a lot of our questers want to hear. But you're also a quester for the New England area. And how and why did you get involved with the quester program? For those of you who may not know, our quester program is a program that we run here at DGS that it's how we build our communities. So we have a quester in a geographical area, and they run demos, they run tournaments, they get new players involved, they build a community, and they keep that community running. Uh, so, Tim, what drew you to that position, and why?
So as I was rediscovering freeblades, I was here in Connecticut, and I kind of was asking around, and there wasn't really anyone else here in the area who played, and I was like, that's a crime in itself, and so I'm doing what I can to start building a community here in the New England area. That way,
And
I'm not the only one. So that way, I'm not the only one.
That's awesome. I think that's the best reason, right? You know, when you, hey, I want to play and nobody else does. So let's just get this thing rolling. I love that attitude. I think that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing as a quester to draw players into the game.
So right now, I've got kind of one kind of game shop that I've got established kind of weekly kind of games and demos for, and it's kind of slowly starting to build a community there. I was at Captain Con back in February. I've got another kind of a game store I've reached out to in Massachusetts that I'm kind of I've trying to set up a demo night, and from there, kind of hopefully get another kind of at least kind of like bi-weekly kind of game session. And so kind of it's just me trying to kind of just going and seeing where I can get kind of game demos and get sessions in and get introduce people to freeblades.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you for your work, Tim. We really appreciate that. Now, if you, there's a lot of people that have become questers that are having kind of the same situation that you're in, where they're in an area where there's no other players or there's minimal players scattered all over the place, and they're trying to build a new community. They're trying to get things put together. Do you have any words of wisdom or motivation or inspiration that you'd like to share with folks that are maybe in that same boat that you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing is it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process, and and you kind of slowly build up your community. It'd be nice if just boom you could have a nice community, but you just got to remember it takes time, and it's going to take patience. But the other thing is you just got to give a dedicate your time in and just kind of keep trying, and you'll get there.
It's awesome. Thanks. All right, so we're coming up on close to time here. Tim, I've got one more question for you, and it's a little bit of a dreamy question. It's one of those ones that's, it's a little off the hook. Um, what is it that you really want to see from the world of Phalon, from Freeblades, from Bright Sword, as we go forward in the future? What is it that you're looking for that's going to keep you engaged, keep you hooked, keep you buying models, whatever that is? What is it that you're looking for?
So there's a couple different kind of little questions in there, but kind of as far as kind of playing freeblades, I love really the narrative aspect to it, and so as kind of like this Nevadim campaign, I've really been enjoying kind of future campaigns that has me really excited. I'm excited to see more kind of just lore and kind of world building stuff and like actual stories from the world side, like the dream kind of thing. If there could be some kind of like audio drama kind of thing, that would be fantastic. Um, just the as more factions increase, that really increases just the variability and just interest to it. There's just a lot of different little things.
Okay. If you had to pick one thing that you would want to see coming out of the world in the future that would really just keep you excited, what do you think that would be?
Oh, one thing that I just really would like to see is just a more robust kind of list building system, because right now the list building just feels really restrictive. And so if that were just, I know kind of it's how it is right now is definitely more kind of a balance thing, but if it were to kind of those gloves were to come off a little bit more, that would really excite me.
So let me ask about that because that's good stuff. And I want to make sure I
That's a-
understand which
yeah.
direction of that, right? So Tim, are we talking about, we're not talking about the list builder software. We're talking about what models can work with what models in a free bin.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. So um,
Interestingly,
the other, interestingly, he said, Bob, the Jeff and Colin have been working on, and we've had to just pause it for a minute, not because we don't like the idea, we love the idea, but because of other work things that we're doing, possible upcoming Kickstarter. We won't talk about that today, but uh, a new tiered method of building free bins that would definitely expand who can be working with whom. And so that is something that one we definitely have on the horizon because we were when we first built the game years and years ago, balance was a major concern, and we wanted to be absolutely sure we erred on the side of tight, keeping it tight so that the balance stayed there. Now that we have plenty of experience with the point system, plenty of experience with the way models are built from a parameters and statistics standpoint, we're a little more confident we can like let the chains off a little bit. So they have an idea that they're playing with that we're going to take a look at, and when we do, we will involve you in playtesting that and looking at it early.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
for sure. We just had to hit pause. It's a great idea. We all want it to happen, you know. But there's only so much capacity, and we were working on a bunch of other things, and we had to focus on the Never Dim campaign, the Kickstarter, and a couple of other issues. And the Azura are so different from other things we've done. Also, that faction's just got a different nature to it. So yeah, it's absolutely on the list of things to do, and we'll involve you in it when the time comes. So
That's awesome. That's a great answer. We have been sitting here with Tim Morris, one of our players from the New England area, one of our questers, one of our Patreon change seekers, asking some questions, getting some fantastic answers. Tim, we really appreciate your time today. We're coming down to the end of our program. For folks that are listening or watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for being with us, for listening. Rate us when you can on your whatever it is that you're listening to podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you're thinking. We have this great little channel over on Discord called the Sleeping Grush. You can leave your comments there. You can leave what you'd like to see there, what you'd like for the future episodes. Tell us how silly we are, whatever it is that you want to do. Give us your feedback. We really appreciate it. We really enjoy hearing from you. And we are, if nothing else, ready to learn and to do some things that you guys would like to hear. So, folks, thanks for being with us. Tim, thank you so much for being with us today. And
Thanks for having me.
it's our pleasure. Until we see you guys, we'll see you around the table.
Ilsa Kava.